Hello, my name is Jess Graves. I work as the Business Administrator for the Office of Community Care here at the Hampton VA Medical Center, and today's lesson is going to be about HSRM, or Health Share Referral Manager. HSRM is VA owned software. It isn't owned by Optum or vendors, although they can obtain access to it. It is made by the VA, and it is used to interoperate with the Consult Toolbox and with Optum software. And what it does is allows us to do several different things on consults that make life easier for us. Some of the things that we can do using HSRM are scheduling, rescheduling appointments, canceling appointments, generating referral forms, viewing notes from Optum. We can also send messages and receive messages from Optum, and send and receive messages from community vendors who have HSRM. We can use it to retrieve medical records, and if the docs in the community have HSRM, then they can jump on there and get the authorization forms and whatever prerequisite medical records that they need from us prior to the appointment. The best part about it, as far as getting providers in the community to use it, is that it's free to them. So we're going to talk about how you get there. That to me can be the most frustrating part of any training, is when you jump right into talking about using the software when you don't even know where to start. So here at Hampton, we have a link to HSRM right on our main SharePoint. So at Hampton, we go to the main SharePoint page. We have a link up top called NVCC Most Used Portals. So you'll click on that, and then you'll look down the list until you see HSRM, and you'll click on that. Once you do that, a screen pops up, and the only thing you'll see is a little logo in the top left corner, and you will want to make sure that you click on that. All right, time for a quick demo just to show you in real time how to get to the software program. HSRM is a little bit different from some of the other applications because instead of using the gold star, which we use a good portion of the time, we actually access HSRM using our intranet. So we're going to go to our internet browser. This is the main Hampton SharePoint page. From there, we're going to click Hampton SharePoint on the top left, which opens up our specific Hampton page. Then you'll scroll down, and in the middle column, you'll see Office of Community Care. You want to click that, and then just like it showed in the slideshow, you'll go to NVCC Most Used Portals, and you will go down to HSRM, and you'll click this. As promised, the logo shows up in the top left-hand side, and you'll notice that the arrow turns into a little hand when you hover over the logo. So you click that, the system will populate asking you for your PIN number from your PIV, and I forgot that as soon as you sign into HSRM, the first screen that populates has a bunch of patient information, so never mind, I'm not going to show it to you yet. Once HSRM opens up, you'll sign in, usually using your PIV card, so your PIN number. You'll look to the left-hand side of the screen where you'll see a menu with several options, and we'll discuss the different options that we use at Hampton to process consults and to do research into them. Once we access HSRM, how do we then get into the referrals? Well, once you go to the menu at the top left, we actually have multiple options to search for referrals. The fastest way to find a referral is by going to the top left menu and clicking on the Find Referral option. Now, in order to find referrals, we have some favorite ways to look at them. You can either use the referral number, or you can use the Unique Consult ID, otherwise known as the UCID. Those are the swiftest ways to pull up a referral in HSRM. The main screen looks like this, and you'll see the very top two options to use to search for a referral are the referral number and the unique consult ID. So then the question becomes, where do we find the referral number and the UCID? Well, the answer to that is CPRS. It's a good idea to have all of your software applications open throughout the day. That way, as you need to use them, you don't need to wait that awkward moment while you're trying to sign into everything. Just have them open and waiting for you. If you know you need to use CPRS, you know you need to use HSRM, JLV is another one you'll learn about later, but it's really helpful and avoids delay to go ahead and keep that open all day. Now, when you pull up consults in CPRS and you go into the consults tab, you'll either have learned about this already or you'll be learning about it later. But when you pull up the consults tab, you will click on a consult to highlight it in blue, and then over on the right-hand side of the screen, you will see all of the consult information. Now, the UCID or unique consult ID will be up near the top of that consult information. Now, the referral number, also known as the authorization number, is not something that automatically populates in CPRS. We rely on our MSAs to make sure that we enter that authorization number in the toolbox, and after we annotate it in the toolbox and we save that to the consult, the referral number will then appear in the comment section of the consult when you scroll down to the bottom. So two of the things it's really nice to include for your fellow professionals is when you use the consult toolbox, make sure that you go ahead and add the authorization number and the validity dates, which will need to be updated after the patient makes their first appointment. And if you include those every time you make a comment in the toolbox, then it'll be really easy for the next person to scroll down and get that information really quickly. So let's take a look at what these referral forms actually look like. You're looking at one right here on your screen, of course, with the HIPAA protected information hidden. Now, these forms are required to be sent through to every community provider that is arranged through the VA or for which we send a self-scheduling letter to the patient. Anything that we do an upload for that Optum schedules for us, we don't need to use this form. We would only upload the RefDoc, which is a form that we will talk about in another training. Now, this form is also known as the VA Form 107080. It's also known as an offline referral form. You know, in the VA, we like to have a million names for everything, so this is no exception. So you have 107080, authorization, offline referral form. Now, our community providers use these forms for several different pieces of information. They use the forms for the authorization number, which helps them file their claim. They also use them for the validity dates and for the CEOC, which describes what is covered in their claim. And of course, the authorization forms include the Office of Community Care contact information. Dagnabbit, I just accidentally deleted my whole previous video, so now I have to re-record it. Anyway, now that we know what the referral forms look like, let's figure out how we actually create them and get them uploaded to a consult. So the first thing that you do is you access the referral in HSRM, like we talked about before, using either the authorization number or the UCID. And then once you're in the consult, you're going to look at the top right-hand side of the page for the component menu. You're going to be looking for a vertical ellipsis, also known as a kebab icon on the top right, and you're going to go ahead and click that. Now, once you do, there will be a drop-down box, and you're looking for the offline referral form. Once you click on that, a new window will open up. It's a PDF window, so don't be alarmed. Someone's taken over your computer, okay? So from that new PDF window, you want to go ahead and save the console or save the PDF. Save the PDF. Now, you'll want to make sure that you save the PDF to a place that you can remember. I have a folder on my desktop that's called Faxy Stuff, and that is where I save my authorizations so that I don't lose them. Once you're done saving it, you can go ahead and close out that PDF window on the internet browser, and then I'll go on to tell you how we're then going to edit it and upload it again back to HSRM. So let's talk about what we're going to do to these referral forms. We're going to open up our PDF that we just saved, and the quickest way to do that is to go to your quick access folder. Your PDF that you just saved should be listed under recent files. So you'll go ahead and open it up, and then what you want to do is click the tool that says Edit PDF. Then what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down to the part that shows the VA fax number. We're going to click in it, and then you're going to enter the fax number for whatever team this particular referral is being handled by. So then next you'll scroll down even more, and you're going to look for the part that has the COC on it. Now our COCs default a lot of the time with some erroneous 999 number of visits authorized, so we want to go ahead and get rid of those. In order to do that, we are going to highlight and delete those 999s. You're just going to point and drag, and then once you have them all surrounded, you're going to click the delete button. Any other numbers that look legitimate, so like sometimes the PT consults will have a bunch of 999s, but then you'll see a 15 visits authorized, you're going to want to leave those legitimate numbers and just get rid of the 999s. When you're done with all of that, you're going to go ahead and save the file again, replacing the original file that you saved. All right, so now that we know how to update and save our PDF file with the authorization information corrected, let's talk about how to put it back into HSRM. So you're going to go back to that program. In the consult, you're going to click on Add View Documents, little button right there. Once you click on that, it's going to take you to the Documents screen in the consult. From there, you're going to want to click New. That's on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. Once you click on that, you'll have the opportunity to add some descriptionary information to this. I usually just call the authorization, and then upload another document called the ref doc, and I name that one ref doc. If I am ever uploading an updated authorization, say the patient has made their first appointment and I'm uploading the new authorization, then I will usually name the file with the data service, or I'll put in the description authorization DOS for date of service, and then whatever the date of service was. So then once you're done with your description, over to the right you'll notice a couple of buttons. One says upload, one says webcam. Of course, to upload anything, you're going to be clicking the upload button. Once you've clicked the upload button, you then have to choose the file that you want to upload. So when you click upload, a little window will pop up that has your folders in it. You will make sure that you go to your quick access folder, again under recent files. Your PDF that you just edited should be there. You'll click open after that. Now once you've done that, you can look back at the HSRM screen in the documents menu, and it should say up top file attached. So you can confirm that, and then you'll be looking down at the bottom of the screen for the update button. You want to go ahead and click on that. Now, what happens if you've made a mistake? Well, the great news is if you make a mistake and you upload the wrong file in HSRM, all you have to do is click on it and delete it. So you would be in the document screen of HSRM, and you would click on the file that you don't want to be there. Look at the bottom of the screen. You'll see two buttons. One says update and one says delete. If you want to delete a file, 3 guesses which one you're going to click. Another function we can do in HSRM is to record appointments. Now, why might we need to record appointments in HSRM? For a couple of reasons. So for one, we pull referrals in HSRM and update the information once appointments have been scheduled, so that way we know what status the appointment is in. And once it is updated in HSRM, if everything goes well, it then crosses over to CPRS and the CPRS consult shows as scheduled. We also will be updating that appointment if a patient should so happen to cancel and reschedule and we're made aware of it. We would then want to reflect that in HSRM so that we have an accurate history of what's going on. So please keep in mind, appointments need to be reflected as scheduled before they are completed. So if we're following up on a work list and we see that a consult that was listed as active or unscheduled has already passed its appointment date and it's already done and over with, we first need to schedule it so that the appropriate scheduled date is shown in the system, and then after that we can go ahead and complete the consult. And there's more to that, we'll get into it later. So when you're in the body of a referral in HSRM, you're going to want to look at that component menu again. Click on that little ellipsis there, the kebab icon. And once you do, you'll see a drop-down box, and you're looking for the option that says Record Appointment. If you don't see it right away, you may have to click on that little down caret next to Options in order for it to show up on the drop-down. Redoing this one again because I messed it up, sorry. So now, once you've clicked on that Record Appointment button, you're going to be brought to the Record Appointment screen. As you can see on this screen here, there's all kinds of information that you're going to have to fill out. Please make sure that you do fill out that information accurately. Always use accurate information. If you do guesswork, it's going to mess up our data. We use this information for research and all kinds of stuff. So we do not want it skewed, and if you put misinformation in the system, it will skew it, and then I will have to send my dinosaur to eat your face. Maybe not really. Anyway, make sure that you put accurate data in the system, please. And once you have entered all of your accurate data into the system, you're going to want to look for the update button somewhere and go ahead and click that. Now once you click that update button, you'll notice that a few things will be updated now in HSRM when you're looking at this referral. Your expiration date should update because your expiration date, which is the end date in your validity dates, will automatically recalculate after the first appointment is made. Your validity dates now begin with the date of the appointment, and so usually the expiration date is pushed back a little bit. So when you look up near the top of the consult, you will see that the expiration date should look different. Then when you scroll down to the bottom part of the HSRM thing, the referral, you'll notice a few other things have also been updated. Your first appointment made should now be the status of your referral in HSRM. And then you'll notice at the bottom right that appointment updates have been made. You'll see your new appointment date at the bottom of the screen. You also want to make sure that under Assigned User, you put your name in there. That way you get credit for your work. We said very recently, a couple minutes ago, that sometimes a patient may reschedule an appointment. In that case, we want to reflect it accurately in the system, and the same goes for if the vendor has to cancel and reschedule an appointment. So the very first thing that we want to do is we want to cancel the first appointment. In order to do that, we'll pull up the patient's record. You're going to look for the action menu, which is the actual ellipsis, not the kebab icon, but the one above that, the actual ellipsis, and click on that. Then you're looking for the button that says Additional Referral Information. Now, once you see that, go ahead and click on it. Now, after you click additional referral information, you're going to be brought to a new screen which may have a list of several different referrals. That's what additional referral information means, is show me the screen that has information on any additional referrals that this patient has. You want to find the referral that you're looking for, or the appointment that you are looking for, so it will have a status of booked if it is scheduled already. And then you are going to click on the part that says booked. Woo! I never know where I'm going to be. I got to do some strategery to figure out how to fit in here. Once you click on that button that says booked, you're going to be brought into the details of that particular appointment. The screen will look like this, and you are going to click on the little magnifying glasses above to give yourself the option, drop-down box for each box that has the asterisk next to it, or anything really that you can answer. And you will want to change the status of the appointment to canceled or no-show, depending on what happened. Complete anything with an asterisk next to it. Don't really have a choice. And then you're going to want to look at the bottom right again, and you're going to click Update. Now, after you do that, you want to go back to the main referral to ensure that you have successfully canceled that appointment. Clicking on Return to Referral Details will bring you back to the main part of the referral, and then you will just record another appointment as if it were the first time you were doing it. Now, I just want to provide some reminders when we are scheduling appointments, so make sure that we are filling out all of the fields possible with accurate information. If the provider is not there, I know I said earlier that the provider will usually be there already, but if there's a situation where the patient has not chosen their preferred provider yet, or if you're finding that out at the same time as you're finding out about the appointment, then it wouldn't show up in that case. So if that happens, you want to make sure that you use the PPMS provider search to add that provider into the system. So it's really important that we double check and we make sure that those providers are in the network. If Optum has scheduled the appointment, then one would hope that they would choose a provider who is in their network. But when we are looking on our own, we have to remember that sometimes PPMS can be a little bit out of date. So we may have to contact the provider and just double check that they're seeing veterans. A few important notes to remember when scheduling appointments. The validity dates will show as preliminary on the initial authorization and all the way up until the first appointment is scheduled. That is normal. The first appointment date becomes the validity period start date. We update that. So that is not something that will automatically happen. We have to go in there, record the appointment, and that will initiate the change in the validity dates. Now, our community partners may not understand that preliminary doesn't mean that the patient is not yet authorized. It just means that the validity dates will change once the first appointment is made. It's not very difficult to explain this to our community providers. So if a doctor's office calls you all upset because it says preliminary and they need a firm authorization, the authorization is firm. The dates will change from preliminary once the first appointment date is provided to us. HSRM should calculate the new expiration date based on the length of the CEOC. We have to make sure that this is accurate because I have seen it make a mistake once or twice. So what that means is that when we record the new appointment, system should automatically change the validity dates based on the length of that CEOC. So all CEOCs are good for a certain period of time, 30 days, 60 days, 180 days, a year, whatever. All of them have a certain period of time that they're good for. So once we change the appointment date to our new appointment date, HSRM should automatically calculate the new expiration date based on however long that CEOC is supposed to last. Now, whenever we make changes in the system, we always want to click Apply and Update, or those changes may not hold. Now, it was mentioned before that vendors can use HSRM to upload documents to give to us. Where would we go to look at that? We would go to the same Add and View Documents button as we went to upload our own RefDoc and authorization form. Now, some providers do not use HSRM. If they don't use HSRM, then they would need to provide any documentation to us via fax or email. A good practice is to let vendors know anytime that you speak to them how awesome HSRM is so that we don't have to go digging through our fax system to find whatever they just sent. So here you'll find the main resource listed in the field guidebook for TMS training for HSRM. I do believe that there are more than one, but this is the main one referenced by the field guidebook. Below that, you can see on a regular day the life cycle of a referral in HSRM. When they are first sent from the consult toolbox in CPRS through to HSRM, they'll be listed as approved, and then they go through various statuses before they are finally listed as EOC complete, meaning the appointment has been completed and we have documentation on file. Moving on to the next part of our lesson in HSRM, we're going to talk about managing the task list. That is what shows up when you first sign into HSRM, that screen that showed up with lots of patient information that I couldn't show you. That's the task list. So what is it for? Well, it's for a lot of different things. We can manage tasks, so we can review them, we can complete action on them. Sometimes those tasks are automated, so we can list a time frame that we want something to be done by or a due date that we want it to be done by. We can assign work to other people. We can track workflow. Once we mark something as a task in HSRM, there is now a record of that in the system, so we can use it to review our workflows. And just keep in mind, Hampton does have other ways of pulling workload, so not everybody uses the task list. And if HSRM goes down, it's not as if we won't be able to find those patients in the system and process their. Now, when we're looking at the task list, we do have the ability to filter it to make life a little bit easier for us. If you look at the top of the screen, you'll see that there are multiple categories to filter by. You can choose referral numbers, you can choose a sort of task you want to look for, you can even search by username. So what you would do is you would select the box and then enter the type of factor that you want to filter by, and then on the bottom right-hand side of the screen, you would then click Find. Here you see a picture of what it looks like when someone has filled out some of the criteria to sort the task list by. So you can see that the user has selected to look for messages from community providers to the VA. There's also a date range selected, and there are several different task statuses selected. The person using this would then click Find, and lo and behold, a task list would appear below. So it's important to remember that anything that you leave blank in those factors is going to give you everything in that particular category. So for example, there are no referral numbers listed, there are no names listed, so that search will give you all patients and referral numbers that meet the other criteria that are specified. Another way to manage your workload is by using the sort function. And to sort through different tasks, you're going to want to look at the column headings. When you click on them, you are allowed to sort by those various factors. I'm excited to share this part with you because it took me a little while to figure out. I didn't get any official HSRM training besides what was in TMS, which, you know, your eyes kind of glaze over after a little while. It took me a little bit to figure out how to open messages when I first started using HSRM. So you can filter your task list down to messages, but then how do you open them once you get to them? I was clicking everywhere trying to figure this mess out. So you can filter your task list down to messages, or if you should just so happen to see a message pop up that's for you and you want to take a look at it, you would just click on the actual message underneath the column heading that says task. If you click on any other part of this line item, it's not going to open. You have to click on the actual part that says message from community to VA. Now, once you do that, the message will appear with some more information about it. If this has been given a due date, that due date will appear on the message. And then to actually see what the message says, you have to look at the bottom under comments. And it's not exactly the most bold part of the message, but that's where you look to see it. So say you're looking at your messages and you want to go ahead and accept them as a task so that you can keep track of them and then mark them as complete at some point so you can get them off of your task list. You want to make sure that you are paying attention to the buttons that say accept task and update at the bottom right-hand side of the page when you're looking at your message. You'll notice that accept task is grayed out for the time being. You cannot accept a message if it is not assigned to you. So first you have to assign the message to yourself and then you can accept it. So to assign it to yourself, what you're going to do when you are within the body of that message is you are going to click assign task to user, and then you will start typing your name until your name populates below, and then you'll go ahead and click on it. Once you do that, you will click update at the bottom right hand side of the screen, and when you do that, you will automatically be returned back to your task list, and you will click again on the message from community to VA portion of that line item. Good job! Great start. Now that you've assigned the task to yourself, it is time to accept it. You'll see on the message that the accept task button is now colorful instead of grayed out. So then what you want to do is click on it. Once you do that, you'll be taken right back to the task list over there somewhere, and you'll see that the assigned user is now changed to your name, hopefully, if you've assigned it to yourself. So if you want to open up that referral to actually address the consult instead of opening up the message, then you would just want to click on the actual referral number instead of on the title that says message from community to VA. And then once you're finished doing whatever you do on the task list, you'll just want to click the little box that says completed over there, and then it will come off of your task list. Yet another way you can look for messages is you don't have to get all crazy typing in all kinds of different criteria. You can just look for your name and then click find. This table over here just provides you with some more information on different kinds of tasks that can be performed in HSRM. There are different tasks or notifications that can occur between VA employee and VA employee or in-house. There are tasks that can happen between VA and our community provider, like asking for documents or sending messages. There are then tasks that are coming from the community provider to us. Those can also be messages, or they can request pre-appointment documents from us or an updated authorization. And then we have the ability to send messages back and forth between ourselves and OP. Now it's time for us to review a little bit of information which you don't necessarily need to perform your daily duties as an advanced MSA, but a lot of people may find that this is information that is useful to know is a possibility or going on in the background. So the subject of today's little nugget is provider exclusionary management, or the PIM process. The gist of it is that providers can be excluded from our network if they're flagged because there is a change in their license or if they are terminated from employment. HSRM does have the ability to provide us with a report that identifies by NPI any provider that has an active referral, but the provider themselves is shown as inactive or deactivated in PPMS. Just keep in mind, PPMS can be a little bit out of date sometimes, so we might want to fact check that instead of assuming. That report also contains a list of any referrals that have the providers or locations that have been inactivated in the system. And we can use it to identify when we have veterans who've been treated or are scheduled to go somewhere that is no longer showing as active in our system. Ultimately, though, Optum is responsible for verifying that the providers in network are in compliance with their required licensure. Now, if we have providers who are not in the Optum network, they would have a VCA or Veterans Care Agreement. And in those cases, the Office of Community Care would update the provider file status to deactivated if we were made aware that the provider had had a change in their licensure or if they were no longer employed with the organization we thought that they were. You'll have to bear with me. This is like take 43 on this particular slide. So you may be asking yourself what happens once a provider is listed as disabled or deactivated or inactive in the system. So what happens is HSRM then generates a task that is entitled Reassign to Another Provider. And that task is assigned to any referral that has that provider associated with it. And then HSRM goes ahead and disables the scheduling functionality for any referral that is still associated with that provider so that we can't record any appointments while that provider is still on the referral. Just keep in mind that some of these functions are really only useful if we're actually using that task list in HSRM and if we are intentionally looking for those sorts of tasks. So yet another reason why it's a good idea to use all of these great tools that are provided for us. I'm mad none of y'all told me I had a booger in my eye. Here are some additional resources to learn some more about HSRM. You have the Community Care Hub SharePoint. Additionally, the Field Guidebook does have information on HSRM actually embedded in it. And I'm sure that will be up to date since the Field Guidebook is updated like 1,000 times a day. There is also the HSRM SharePoint. There are standards of practice that include resources on HSRM. And then there is the memo on care coordination model, which has that some resources in it as well. Mainly, I would focus on the top 2 resources. And if you end up seeing the video version of this and you don't have access to the links, just let me know and I'll go ahead and send those links to you. It's been a blast having this lesson with you. Appreciate you taking the time to watch. And if you should happen to have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out. Take care.